Hi, guys. Wow, nice to see you guys. Um, so I wanted to, people have been asking me, and all my followers have been so incredible, all my supporters, and I just want to say thank you for all your messages behind the scene. You guys have been such great help through this time, and it's been, and I'm being honest, I've got a little anxiety right now, but that it is what it is. And I just want to share, what's been happening and where I am today, because this last week we had such an incredible week, 3 wins. And, there was this judge, and I just have to say, I loved her because when she gave her reading in Danny's case and DOA's case, she read it the same way, and it was just so beautiful how she just really dissected the truth from the non-truth. And to hear that, one win after Solomon's win and now Danny's win. So I just wanted, everybody keeps asking me what's going on with your case and when are you going to be in court and all that. So I wanted to jump on here and share some stuff with you, and it's some of it's not that easy for me, but I'm just going to do it. And as you know, like on June 1st, I was attacked by an LAPD sergeant. Um, and I'll say that, I was falsely arrested and assaulted. And it wasn't just assaulted in the word of a shove, but even verbally. You know, if you guys have seen the video or go back and see the video, you'll see where I strongly state that to him. And I saw that he was kind of, his energy just wasn't jiving right then. And I saw that. And so I said to him, I said, just remember, we're here for the children. There are children locked up in there. I said something like that to him. And it was then that he paused and he pondered for a second. And I have to give Sir Creptus the insight on that. He's the one who pointed that out to me when I did the first video with someone that I, trusted to do it with. And Sir Crepidus was kindly enough to assist me and be on the show as well. And one of the things on the show I have to say about Sir is that he was like so honest. And he said to me even before we started the show that he was going to be completely honest. He wasn't going to waver one way or the other way for me or for the LAPD. He was just going to be his truth. And I really, really respect him for that. And he's been such a great support. So I just want to say thank you to him as well. He's just, the legal information that you see on that show that I did with Aaron, you'll see, the truth that he speaks, and it's right there. It's clear. So because of it, I got injured. You guys, heard, or I don't know if you got to see, but I ended up leaving in an ambulance or an EMT, ambulance to the local hospital. And I can go deep into that, but I've only got so much time today, but I want to get through what I made a couple notes to my side here. You'll see me glance over once in a while just to remind me, because I kind of want to stay on script here. And then so I just first want to say, once again, trigger warning. If anybody's like, having anxiety and, I just, take care of yourself. That's one thing I've really learned during the last 3 months is that, I was hit with a mountain and I had to climb it, and, I couldn't do it alone, and it took a team. And you guys were part of the team. And I also had mental health team, and it's really been, I've learned a lot about how I feel and why I feel the way I feel, and just how the attack just kind of like changed my life for the last few months. I miss you guys so much and being on the live, but I knew that, like, and I always preach this to everybody, is you've got to take care of yourself first. So remember that. Number one, you have to take care of yourself first. So many of you might know that last year I went in for hip replacement because I had a tear in the ball of my joint. And when I came out, something wasn't right, and they found out that it was like a ½ inch too short. So I went back in for another one. So, and it was great because I was like, to be out there protesting just proved that my hip was just getting so much better. And it was just like, I was able to run around and do everything I could. And, when he shoved me, he pushed me onto my hip, and it hurt. I heard the pop and a noise, and I just felt it. And it just instantly went to like a level 8, 10 pain. And I just was like, fuck. So, from my experience, one of the things I want to say is, and I want to say this to all the protesters out there, and the people behind the scenes, because there's so many people behind the scenes. There's so many people who care, who are here to listen, and who share this moment together, and just support. And so I really just want to, make a note, because it's like, to me, it's became obvious kind of a little bit that, that it's the kids out there protesting for the kids. I call them kids because they're younger than me, but it's like the people like DOA and all the protesters out there doing their work. And it's the people behind the scene doing their work that we're making ground right now. And I just have to say, it's very obvious to me that, where the energy is and where the energy is going. It's just really beautiful to see what's going on right now. And it's just like last night, you guys, if you got a chance to see it, I was live for the first time at Blue Building, and it's been a month and a half, I think, something like that. No, maybe just a month and 7 days. No, 3 months, sorry. 3 months and 7 days. And so I was out there last night, and it was just so beautiful to be there, and it was so beautiful to be there with DOA to celebrate his win. And, it's just like and I've talked about this before, and I want to share this, was we all get to choose a playground that we want to play in. One that we just love what the person's saying, what they're doing, and all that. And I have nothing against anybody choosing a playground. My only wish is that you choose a playground that benefits you and you feel like you're in alignment with. And that's all that really matters in life when it really comes down to it. So going back to the protesters, and they're the ones that are getting arrested, are the ones that are out on the street, doing a lot. I commend everybody that's out there. When I was out there last night, it was just like how beautiful it was to be around so much love and so much beauty, and just the energy that we're here because of the kids. We are here to get the kids out. And one of the things I learned in the last few months, I thought to myself, wow, I went to jail. I went to jail for like 72 hours. I didn't get a phone call to my attorney. They lied to me. There was so many things that was wrong. And it was my first time in jail, and my hip was just, I couldn't lay down because the pain would even get worse. So I had to stand up and just kind of just stand on my right leg. And I kind of did that like almost for 72 hours. I asked for an extra cushion. They said no. The one they gave me was like compounded to like a 1/4 inch. When it first started, it was probably 3 inches. I learned in there, I'm like, wow, I'm in jail. I'm trapped. And, some of you know that I'm in the program for 18, and coming December will be 19 years. And it's always been a really great place for me to advocate for myself and talk to people and just help people, and share my love with people and then with me, and when I'm having a good time and bad time and all that. And that's been really important in my life. But when I was in jail, I was like, wow, this is what it feels like to be in jail. And I talked to myself, and I just said, okay, we have this serenity prayer. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I can change, understand the things I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference. So I just said to myself, I said, Michael, you could, I have this story. Me like sharing stories. When you're driving down the road and you get a flat tire, there's 2 ways you could deal with the flat tire. You could do it with a smile on your face, or you could be sitting through the whole thing going, motherfucker, and just cussing and just in a miserable thing. But you still have to fix that tire. So you have a choice to either do it with a smile on your face and just, oh, I got to fix the tire. What, am I going to get extremely just pissed off or whatever? Yeah, you're going to get, you're going to feel like you're displaced. Maybe you're running late or whatever the case may be. But bottom line, you'd have to change a tire. So, when I was in jail, I decided I was going to change the tire in jail with a smile on my face and just do the best I can at the moment that I could. And I knew that, eventually I was going to get out. I didn't know when. They were telling me maybe Wednesday or something like that. And I just kind of gave up hope for a little bit. And so I sat back and I said the serenity prayer a few times, and I thought about the kids. I thought about the kids. The kids can't consent. And I thought to myself, I go, wow, they weren't only locked up, but some of them were sexually abused. Some of them were abused in so many different ways of having to ask so many different questions to adults when they were just kids. And I'm like, wow. So they weren't only locked up, but they were abused too. And I'm like, what do I have to complain about right now? I'm like, it's like, I feel like this has been a change in my life. It's an expansion in my life at this point. This is how I'm choosing to look at it and just go forward from this point. And I just, going back to last night with the protesters, it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful that DOA won. And, when the other day when we were at court with DOA to support him in the morning, I walked out to get water, and as I was walking down the hallway, DOA was standing in front of me. Yes, there was things said in the past or whatever, and I don't know where that was coming from. And I just choose okay, it is what it is. We all expand, we all do things, and we all say things, and maybe we don't mean it but that way, or whatever the case is. But I saw him, and I just, I remember the first time I was there with him at getting released from jail after he was arrested. And I was the first person to hug him, and I started to cry, and it was so beautiful. And you guys probably saw it on my live. And then I was walking down the hallway the other day, and all of a sudden I looked up, and there was DOA, and it was like instantly we just both kind of like opened up our arms and hugged each other and just told each other we loved each other, because it's just like, we are all people, and we all have different thoughts, and we may want to do this, or we may want to do it this way. That's okay. That's your way. And if one can really look at that's that person's way, as long as they're not harming anyone or stopping anyone from actually doing something, that's what this life is about. Believe me, at the end of a life, you're going to go, what did I do to make a difference? How did I make a difference? Who was I hanging out with? And what was that playground like? Was that the best playground, or would I have changed my playground now? So I just share this with you guys because I get into these modes where I just want to share, like, really my grassroots, who I am. And this is how I really look at life, because you could change a tire with a grumpy ass face and just moan and groan through the whole thing. Or you could change a tire with a smile on the face and perhaps think of something magical. I don't know. That's me. And that's just kind of the crazy me that I am. So during this whole attack, the last couple months, it's been really stressful. I never knew what, I've heard of PTSD, and we've known people, and I don't know about you, but I, always looked and just kind of wondered what that really meant. And I really had no idea what it meant until this happened. Serge and I were going to a wedding in Tuscany, and that was Wednesday, and I was sitting in jail going, God, am I going to go? I want him to go without me if I don't get out. I didn't want him to miss this, because this is a very dear friend of his in Paris that lives in Paris. And so I was like, that was part of my, like, oh my God, but when I was there, the weirdest thing happened is, like, I got triggered. I started getting triggered. Every time we turned around, there was something that reminded me, or a person that reminded me. And it's just like I started getting triggered, and I just had this, like, anxiety that I've never really had in my life. Yeah, I've had anxiety here, there, whatever, but that's of my own making. So I kind of expect it maybe, but this was like unexpected. this was the last thing I'd ever thought would happen in my lifetime. And here I am, my age, sitting in jail, not knowing when I was going to get out. So it did cause a lot of, PTSD. And I've actually worked, like I said, with a team, and we've really done a lot of great work. And if you guys, feel like you want to just dig deeper into your soul and just find what's going on with you, and maybe something that's, you want to work on yourself, I highly recommend for everybody, mental health coaches are the best people in the world sometimes when the time is right for you. And then even like when the time's not right for you, that's what I always say, look that direction, because it's nice to always get an outsider's ear, whether you accept what they say or not. That's your choice. I had a life coach that started out as a psychiatrist, and he tried to help he was helping all the people that would come into his office, but a lot of times they'd come back the next week with the same thing, same thing, same thing, same thing. And it kind of drove him nuts, and he just like couldn't do it any longer. And he just like, he checked himself into a facility for a minute, and then came out and he goes, I want to make a difference in people's life, and I want to make them live happy, joyous, and free. What do I do? And he started coming, he heard about, and I've shared this on my lives too, a book called Ask and It Is Given by Abraham Hicks. If you guys haven't looked at it or have ever read it, it's really interesting. And I always say it's kind of like, it's kind of like a Scientology, not Scientology. God, it almost could be if you looked at it that way. But no, it's kind of like a life, just different tools that you can use if you wish to. You can look at it and say, oh, I like that idea, or I like that idea. And I've shared some of those ideas with you because that's how I choose to live my life, is like, I really try to be in alignment at a high vibration. And that's where we all want to be. But sometimes we get pulled out of our vibration. And this time I got really pulled out of my vibration, and it's taken me a long time to get back to where I am. And it's taken a team to work with me. And and I feel better today than I have yesterday and the day before and the day before. So I only expect to start feeling better and better. The only thing I have to work on is just the physical injury now. And that's just lingering a little too long than I want. So, I was on a live once I got out with Aaron and Sir Creptus, as I mentioned. But before the live, I'd ask Aaron, I'm like, hey, Aaron, I think I need some help. I need some support so that I can, hire an attorney. And he's like, oh, no, no. And we had been talking to these other attorneys, but they were more civil than they were criminal. And I needed a criminal attorney. And they told me that I needed one. So I said, hey, Aaron. And Aaron's like, oh, no, no, we won't do anything this time or whatever. And I'm like, so I realized after getting off that show, I really had to take the ball in my hands and go look for my own legal defense attorney. And because I tried to do it myself in the beginning. I tried to do it myself. The district attorney sent me a letter, and I called when I was supposed to call on the date. And I thought they were going to say, okay, everything's okay. But she was like, oh, well, you don't need an attorney. And I'm like, what? And when someone says something like that, you want to really listen to it, because usually it's saying something about them, or just leading you into something. So I was like, what? And she went on, and I said, look, I really feel like I need to find a city attorney. Thank you, baby. And so I really need to find a defense attorney for myself. And so I went out. I didn't go out. So I was just kind of like, I did, for some reason I started getting this flood of mail, and I started like going, oh, let me like maybe call these people. They want to represent me. I called these people, and I started doing that. And it was just kind of like a door slam. And anytime you kind of like mentions it deals with Scientology, it seems like some people want to like walk it back from you. Attorneys don't want to deal with you when they hear the word Scientology, because they are a billion-dollar corporation if you really look at it, right? A cult on top of the trafficking, RICO Act, it's just like there's all these things that are all so wrapped up in all this thing that we're looking at. And it's really scary for me. And I have to say this because when I first started protesting, I'm going to even go back further, you guys. When I met Serge, I was guilty like every other American out there, every other person in this world out there. that I thought Scientology was okay. It is what it is, kind of cultish, whatever, and they're doing their wisdom and it. But once I met Serge and I started understanding what they were doing, and it started reminding me of so many other cults and what they had done and got busted for, and private people, and you see it in the news today, right? And so I was like, going, wow, of course, why would that be like protected over there if you really think about it? And then you started thinking, and then all of a sudden, he started showing me pictures and articles and things with all these kids doing painting, and this was like all of a sudden I started looking at this, and then I like listened to his story, and it just really got me, and it got me like really involved wanting to do something different. And then I met Laura FM as well, and then she came and she told me her story. She just like poured it out and just really gave it to me, just like Serge did. And when I heard both of their stories, after you know it just like with Serge, it was like I was like so close to him, and it's like, yeah, I felt so far from him at times because it was a process for him as well. But it was like I felt so far from him because I didn't know that in between space yet, really. And so that's when I really started like looking at being an advocate. And when when Streets was over in Hollywood and he started doing what he was doing over there, it caught my eye and caught Serge's eye, and we became part of that moment. And it was so beautiful because that's really where it all started. In fact, if you really think about it, I mean, there's so many things. It's like, I remember the time that Aaron got arrested. I was like, I knew that I could find the guy. So I hopped on a bird for 20 minutes to go find this guy for him. And I did. And I followed him, and I kind of like was behind him, forcing him going towards Hollywood Boulevard, and they were able to arrest him on Hollywood Boulevard along with Aaron. But at least I found the guy for Aaron, it was like so beautiful. And it was like that moment of being able to help others and then be there standing up for the kids. Cause not many people, and I have to say this, and a lot of I wish people would talk more about the kids. The kids is really, really what it's meant to be about for me, is like, let's get the kids out. If people are adults, and they're in there, I don't know about that, because it's like you got to think about, you're an adult. You've chosen to be here. Most likely you're in here. And I do think there's times where maybe one of those adults was a child at one point, and I think about that and I'm like, it all goes back to the child. We got to get the kids out. Kids can't consent. Adults can consent. So like, let's focus on the kids. So I'm just like, sorry, I'm just like so passionate about this, because like going back, sitting in that jail 72 hours and thinking to myself, wow, I'm locked up. And then I thought, wow, the kids were locked up. And not only that, this also happened. They were SA'd by a stranger, or maybe perhaps somebody they even knew, or maybe even put on the cans and spoke to. I don't know. But when you think about it like that, it's pretty horrific that this is going on. Last night when I was there doing the live, and if you guys saw my live, you will see that I spotted a kid, and I tried to get to him as fast as I could. Audit was behind me and she was with me, and we were like, and we both made it a pact just to make sure we didn't say anything, we didn't scream anything, just to protect the kid, because the kid cannot consent. He didn't consent to be inside of the protesters. So I just want to say that, kid, you guys out there, if you guys are protesting, just always just remember to honor the kids that are in there, because they don't know that they're in there. Just think about that. These kids have no idea that they're in a cult. Some of these kids most likely are going to be SA'd one way or another in there. It's happening today. It didn't just happen with the kids I know that are out now. It's likely happening right now. And that's what I see. I see so much stuff. I never thought I would be involved with Scientology or protesting against Scientology and understanding. But once again, going back to the whole beginning of this, is like when I met Serge, I didn't know that in between part. And I made it sure it was a mission of mine to know that in between part. so I could be there to love him and support him as much as he's been here during this time. And baby, I love you so much for being here. You've been my rock. I just want to say, to get rid of that gap and understand didn't only bring me closer to Serge, but it brought me back to children, about kids. And I want to say this. It brings me to this point. The other day, I did EMDR, and if you guys have heard about it, or if you haven't heard about it, look it up. It's a therapy that you work with a wellness coach on with, and it's really, at first I was like, oh right, it's kind of like very skeptical, going, oh my god, blah, blah. But then when I did it, it was like so intense, and it was so meaningful, and it helped me so much. So you guys, I just, I can't say more about that, but anyway, so last Tuesday, and I've been wanting to get on here to share this with you guys, and that's kind of like the whole purpose of this chat that we're having. I had no idea. I did make some notes. I've looked over a couple of times, and I'm like, making sure I didn't miss any of my notes, and how um last Tuesday I did this. I had my therapist, and we did it, the MDR. Well, we were going to, that was the schedule, and I got on the Zoom call with her, and all of a sudden she looked at me. And in my mind, I was thinking, oh, you know what? I got to get ready for this thing coming up. I got to go meet my attorney, this great defense attorney, you guys. I found a fantastic defense attorney. And the one thing I want to say is when I first walked in, he didn't know much about what we were doing, or what we were going through, or who we were, or anything. But how I am. I just enjoy talking to people. I get to talk to people, and I get going and all that. And our we were there with him, and what we thought was going to be an hour, we became friends, in a way, friends with him for that moment. And we were able to get to know him, and he was so excited to get to know us, Serge, and all this, and our passion, what we were doing. And and he really got the full view between Serge and I of like what's going on. And so we were just kind of like sharing all this information, and he's got a lot of materials. It took me weeks and weeks to get material to him and pull it. And there's been some incredible people here that, once again, you guys don't know when you really, I've heard this so many times from protesters, not from protesters, from people online, where they go, well, we wish we really can make a difference, or we can help you somehow. We can help you somehow. I get that all the time. How can we help you? How can you help me? And I'm like usually like the last guy that asks for help. And that's, one of the things that really kind of like gets to me, it's like, but you guys have like forced it on me. You guys are like, how can we help you? How can we help you? And so so I'm sharing this with you guys because, like, this amazing attorney, and his name is, and I had to make sure I wrote it down, his name is Mr. Andrew, I got it, Serge, don't write it, hold on, I got it here, Flyers, Andrew Flyers. Now you can write it down, Serge, for me, so they have it. This guy is a little monster. I mean, it's so funny because after I visited with him the last time, he inspired me, and I wanted to do a piece of art, but he reminded me of something that was already out there, that I didn't need to do the piece of art. And I actually looked at it, and remember, if you grew up here in Southern California, I don't know if they had it where some people are, because I know some people are from around the world and all that, but we used to have this little exterminator that would run around town with this truck. And on the truck was this like little man in a top hat with a big hammer, and down below was a little rat. And so he would sit there and do this, and that was the exterminator. Well, he reminded me of this guy. And so I sent him a picture of it, and he laughed. But that's Andrew. Andrew is a fighter. Andrew, when I shared with him, because I tried myself, like I said earlier, I tried once with her, And then I said, I needed an extension and I could not find an attorney during that time. And all of a sudden I got another letter and I had to make another phone call and I was by myself again. And I was like, holy fuck. So I made the phone call and this time she had a little attitude against me. At least I felt that. And I was like, something's not right here. And I shouldn't say a word about anything. And so I asked her for another extension. She said, absolutely not. I said, well, I still need to secure an attorney. She goes, if you want another extension, I'm going to send you a letter and it's going to be a court date. So I was like, holy fuck. So I had to find, that's when I actually had a meltdown. And Serge was the one who actually was able to help me find the attorney. Serge is over here giving me notes. Go get. So anyways, getting back, but I mean, where was I? So Mr. Andrew Weiss, he has been a gem. So last Tuesday, we had an appointment with him at 1:30 because after he knew that I had the 2 calls, he used to work for the city. He used to be a city attorney before. So he knows a lot of people in the city. And we went into his office. He picks up the phone. He calls the lady on the letter. He had an appointment with her. We knew that. We went in for the appointment. And I know a lot of you, district attorney, see, I get it all crazy. Sorry. So that's why I have Serge here, my little moderator, to make sure. Okay. Yeah. So he was a district attorney. And so Serge is giving me notes over here, you guys. So anyway, so we had a phone call. I said, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And at the end of it, we're not being charged against. They had nothing that they felt after talking with him to charge me with. So I want to say to you guys, and that's what the start of my whole live today was about, was sharing this because you guys have asked me and asked me and asked me what's going on. And I've just been so full of anxiety. It's just like, I just wanted to just like take care of myself. So you guys, this week we didn't have 3 wins. We had 4 wins. And this is done by the protesters. So yeah, it's a legal victory for all of us. For all of us. So Andrew Weiss, I want to get back to real quick. So people have been asking how they can help me. Well, my retainer with Andrew Weiss was $7,500. And if you guys want to pitch in and help me with that, that would be amazing. I was able to like put it on a credit card that I didn't want to use. And, I just don't like to do the credit thing. So if you guys want to do anything and help me, I would welcome that love and blessing from you guys if you can. It's my PayPal and everything's down in my down below, so you can find all that there and you can send it there. But yeah, I just would, you guys been asking me, and it's really hard for me to, even ask you guys. So it's like, so anyway, but once again, the best part is we had 4 wins this week, you guys. We had 4 wins this week. Has things changed a little bit? I think so. And I'm going to say they're going to continue to change. I know a lot of you that are doing stuff in the background that I just couldn't even begin to do. And the fact that you guys have the tenacity to do what you guys do, I so greatly appreciate it. And you know who I'm talking to. You guys are amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and close tonight, but I just wanted to say to everyone out there, thank you, thank you for being here and listening to me tonight. And if anything, I hope, as always, the best for you guys. I hope that if you get a flat tire, you change it with a smile on your face. I'm so glad to be back. Thank you for having me back. And and once again, I could not do this without Serge. And you guys know that. He's just, my rock. So, I love him so dearly. So thank you, baby. Um, Everyone have a beautiful, beautiful night. Thank you for staying up on the East Coast. If it's late for you guys, I get it. Peace and love, and I will see you guys soon. Okay. And I appreciate you all. Thank you.